Hi, I'm Breandax,
And I'm T.
and we're going to listen to some music.
I think you've heard of Porter Robinson enough times by now, right?
I've definitely heard you talk about Porter Robinson enough times, and then we had the pleasure of listening to Mr. Robinson's work not so long ago.
We did. So we started with Smile, which is Porter Robinson's latest album. And I think the fans would collectively say the largest departure from his sound thus far. But I think the departure kind of started with the album prior, which for me wasn't the first album I heard. I heard Smile first. But when I returned to Nurture, which is the album we'll be looking at today, it was just such a profound experience for me because it was written at such an interesting time, an interesting point in Porter's career, and it really just shows that. So I wanted to bring it to you on this late Friday evening. I think it's going to be a mix of lyrical meatiness, instrumental depth, and also just like pretty good vibes. While the Smile video wasn't our largest, we did get some good turnout for that one. So appreciate the Porter fans that came through, and hopefully you guys enjoy this one as well. If it wasn't already obvious, I've listened to the album many, many times. And I don't think you've heard anything from Nurture. Like you might have heard a Porter song from way before, like one of the ones that got super big on like
That random sample one that you played me just
Shelter.
before.
Shelter, which is actually not from an album. It's just like a one-off
There you go.
alongside the short film like anime video thing. All right, so let's start off with track one. It's just a shorter intro. And then actually let's lead from track one into track two. So we'll do Lifelike into Look at the Sky. Gives me slice of life anime background music.
Very much so.
It's like a farming anime or something. Love the background sounds that get left in.
Look at the sky, I'm still here. I can make something good. I'll be alive next year. Something good.
That was Lifelike and Look at the Sky. And I think it's appropriate to bring the two together because Lifelike really kind of sets the musical mood and the like instrumental palette. And then Look at the Sky does something with it, like turns it into a track with a message kind of thing.
Lifelike gave me the impression of feeling like we were going back in time. We opened to this, like, there was this beat. And if you're using, again, listening to stereo, it was like very much left field, the way that it was being positioned. But there was this kind of like sound effect that made me feel like we were reversing on something. And that beat was almost like, could almost imagine, again, like if it was like the opening of an anime and it'd be a movie, like a feature film type situation, and there was like clock going backwards, and then you can see like the seasons reversing and things like that to go back to where it all began, kind of thing. And I just loved the way that he incorporated the non-diegetic, diegetic sounds if it was a film.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the real life sounds that would have been happening in the scene and creating that soundscape. It really did sort of start to build an image of like, I don't really know where we are. And I wasn't really getting like literal images in my mind, but I was getting like the vibes of that place where we're at.
Yeah, you mentioned diegetic in the context of like the environment that it's kind of setting us up in. So like maybe some natural sounds and like birds chirping, wind or something like that. But also what we get in both tracks is a little bit of like in the room sounds, like of the instrument being played. We get a little bit of like a mic that's maybe somewhere far away from Porter and piano, that picks up like people shuffling in the background or like the wind blowing and muffling the sound. He incorporates that into the very kind of produced, lush parts of the tracks as well. And I think it's so interesting.
I feel like, and I feel like this is a technique that I see a lot in like short film or short stories, where because of the shortened length of the format, you see we're with the main character for like a snippet within their greater life, right? And you don't necessarily need to go into the entire backstory of their, of where they came from. We sort of meet them at a point in time, and we're introduced to whatever they're going to face and then how they sort of journey through that. And that was kind of the impression that I got from Look at the Sky, right? I don't really know where we are. I don't know who this character is yet. We don't have a name, don't have a face. We don't know what's going on. But the song to me was conveying like the internal motivation that's going on inside this character.
Well, I can give you a bit of insights just within the context of this one track. I get a lot of questioning around talent and questioning around like skill. Like obviously Porter's had before this album a series of very successful works. He's played major stadiums. He's had major followings online way before this. And there's some lyrics here around just some internal rhetorical questioning. Shouldn't it come to you naturally? You're losing your gift, and it's plain to see. And some of the context behind this album is this was written during COVID, and Porter says it was one of his lower points in life. And he was really questioning his ability to continue on as an artist and to like continue putting out work that people are going to love.
Right.
Yeah. So just beyond that very obvious kind of direct reference, what Look at the Sky, I'm Still Here, I'll Be Alive Next Year kind of tells me is there's a bit of a hopeful, yet potentially also like melancholic commentary on, even if it doesn't pan out right now, even if I don't put out something that people are going to love right now, I'll be alive next year. I've gotten myself to a point where, I'm not so low that I'm struggling with like suicidal tendencies or anything like that. There will be a next year. Let's power through and see what happens. Should we move on to track 3? It's called Get Your Wish. And it was one of the singles leading up to the release of the album.
Make it right again, but it's no use when the glory tries to tell me how it felt when you were idle. So tell me how I know up and move ahead and I move, but don't you waste the suffering you
You can hear the metronome throughout the last part of that song. And I think it's the stock metronome that's in whatever like digital audio workstation
Right.
Porter uses, which is a nice little touch.
So if I'm gathering correctly, it's not some character. It's a bit like in Smile, where Porter was quite directly like writing about himself, and in that album was about his relationship with the fans and with his career and things like that. So here, I think if that's what he's also doing here, and what you were saying about the last song sort of like spoke to that. I think it's kind of like talking about, I remember you saying last time, Porter started quite young, and so he's had a very long career, and it's been a very successful career as well. And he's had to deal with a lot of these things, I guess, growing up in fame and being very like touring and playing festivals and all of that kind of stuff. And so I guess if the last one was talking about him questioning, will he still be able to produce good work, and sort of dealing with that, I think this is kind of exploring then maybe his experiences with like his career and so far, you know, sort of like being, I feel like when the glory tries to tempt you, so maybe that's like the success he's had, the fame that he's had in his career, walking on water, like being untouchable, like, you know, if he's had this great success, asking all of these questions about like, is this really what you want, or has this been satisfying? Yeah, I think is kind of maybe where this song was going with.
Yeah. And there's also a few kind of cheeky mentions of like the more meta kind of like, I don't want to say darker side of fame, but the more cynical side of fame. There's the line, get up and move ahead, and not only for yourself, because that's your role, and then the work that stirred your soul you can make for someone else. So go on ahead, because what you're doing isn't only for you. There are so many people out there that are touched by what you do. So it's got an amplified ripple effect. But then also, don't you waste the suffering you faced. It will serve you in due time, almost talking about how the suffering that you're facing is also a creative tool, and almost a little bit of pressure to like capture that and bottle it up so that you can then use it in your next piece of work, rather than being able to fully interface with it like a normal person would. I thought those are some interesting lines as well, because this song, for all intents and purposes, musically and for a lot of these lyrics, lyrically, is a very uplifting song. There's little bits in there that are like, is this healthy? And just mentioning the higher pitched vocals. So this was the first album where Porter prominently started featuring his unaltered vocals.
Oh, right.
And even before this, he was almost entirely using the Vocaloid program, where you punch in lyrics and it does the voice for you.
Right.
So I do wonder, like, the use of the pitched up and the regular pitch voice, there's probably some intent there. If we're ready for the next one, Wind Tempos, if I remember correctly, is almost an entirely lyricless track once again. This is more of a sit back, relax, and take it all in kind of track. You can hear the room mic again. You can hear the mouse clicks in the background, very briefly. That was Wind Tempos. And for me, this track obviously says some things. There are some words in it, but I think tells us a lot through the composition, the instrumentation, the production that's kind of used and enters and exits throughout the song. Yeah, we really get a face first like confrontation with the analog instrumentation, the beautiful piano, the strings that sometimes come in and out, alongside the very digital like glitching and little elements that you usually like edit out of something. And the diegetic sounds not within the soundscape we're building, but within the editing room of like an occasional click, like a shuffle of footsteps. And if you look at the album cover, it's Porter Robinson face first in a field of flowers. And that to me is like a clash between a digital past and an analog future. Maybe not a clash, but like a meeting.
I found the rhythm of the piano in the first, it's almost like we had a two-in-one kind of track.
Yeah.
Where the first half, which was purely instrumental and all centered around this very quick piano, and then the second half where the lyrics then kicked in. But in the first half, I thought it was quite interesting. I was really sort of transfixed by the rhythm of the quick piano. And normally I feel like this double time kind of speed makes you feel like you're moving somewhere.
Yeah.
But for some reason, this had the opposite effect in my mind. It almost felt like I was like things were then like standing still or moving almost in slow motion because you were taking a moment to just be in it.
Is it kind of like how if you've got like a flip book and obviously the pages are moving fast, but as you focus on the image,
Yeah.
it's pretty slow.
Yeah.
When I first listened to this, I really got the imagery in my head of a lush field, a lush bit of greenery, and then you take a step back and you realize it's within a game zone on like an MMO or something.
Right, yeah,
And
yeah.
then you log out.
I'm curious to see where we go from here because
Yeah.
at the very end of the song, we had some quick piano again. But for me, I experienced that rhythm quite differently. And it did feel that quick piano felt like movement. So I'm very interested to see where we go from here.
Yeah, so I'll give us a few seconds of that before we lead into Musician. Musician is one of my favorite tracks on the album, for reasons that we will discuss.
No, I don't miss the feeling anymore. You don't really want what you think you want. I get so excited when I finally find border this lie. Oh, it's calling. I just can't stop the feeling. Can't you feel it? I shouldn't do this to myself. If you just face your fears and you become healed,
That line,
I shouldn't do this to myself. I can see my life so clearly, and I shouldn't do this to myself.
this is probably one of the more familiar tracks to probably prior Porter fans, like from the World's album, which is before this one. Very prominent use of like hooky electronic production, the like a lot of that kind of very trademark, almost EDM-y, but not really falling into the trappings of the like danceable over everything else production that an EDM track might have.
I wonder whether he's coming to a point now, like he was questioning a lot of things in the past, questioning like why, he does this, etc. And then between the title being musician and I mean, all the songs have really had sort of an uplifting beat to it, but it kind of feels like the lyrics are matching it in this song as well, kind of reminding us about Porter's passion for being a musician and making music as well. For the most part, I think almost all of the song is talking about that. Almost like the mania of how much he loves making music.
Yeah.
I burn up, burn out. I shouldn't do this to myself.
I think it's kind of talking about the feeling where you're so strongly passionate about something that you get maybe frustrated when you hit certain roadblocks, like you power through for so long,
Right.
but there comes a natural point where you just crash and then you wonder, I'm fine without it. You don't really want what you think you want. But if it's something that you're that passionate about, it will come back in a wave. It's just about, letting yourself sit for a little while, processing some of the commentary. Like I think it was maybe from a parent or something. I think I should tell you, Porter, this life, well, isn't it time that you grow up and then find a job later on, and dwelling on that and then having that passion come back and smash through all of it. And then I think by the end of the track, kind of reconciling with it and rhetorically asking, can't you feel what I'm feeling? I can see my life so clearly. I know it doesn't last, but I don't mind at all anymore. So I think it starts off on kind of unsure footing, but by the end, we get a kind of complete message of what kind of comes out on top in Porter's internal kind of struggle with this.
After the first verse, it felt very joy-filled.
And also a little nugget there as well. I think credited on this track is Yvette Young, and she is an amazing guitarist. I don't hear any prominent guitar in this track, but her writing uses a lot of this kind of structure and like a mode and chord progression. So I think from memory, she's had her a little pause all over this one. And I love Yvette Young. So you'll love to hear it. Next up, we have Do, Re, Mi, Fa, So, La, Ti, Do. This beat kind of sounds like a stock, like Japanese ringtone that you'd get on like a Sony like Vaio phone or something. Quite appropriately named, I think, this track.
I'm glad it didn't have like a word for a name because it really was just like feelings. It was just like vibes. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely was.
Yeah.
And the only lyrics that it did have was to say, there's too much I want to say, so do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do.
It felt very like playful, and probably because of that like that vocal sample that gets repeated.
Yeah, they're very like
in the second
chibi,
half.
chibi
Yeah.
sound.
Then very like childlike kind of playfulness. Yeah,
I
very
get
cute.
like little like JRPG, like a mascot character coming in and like doing a little thing back to the kind of video game referencing.
There was a lot of like guitar at the beginning.
Oh, you know what I think that is? I think that's like guitar, but the MIDI, like the guitar sound that comes with your software
Oh,
that
really?
you play on a MIDI keyboard, but it sounds like a guitar.
Right.
But when you listen to it, it's like, this is way too like regular and clean to be like a plucked instrument. I think that's what it was.
His guitarist has just got such great technical precision.
Yeah, it gets every note exactly the right velocity.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's lead on into Mother, track 7. Another very appropriately named track, I think.
It's very different to the most recent tracks I've heard that center on mother imagery.
I can imagine.
They're normally a bit of a club track,
An ode to Lana Del Rey.
pounding down the runway, but someone
Also that.
doing a Vogue routine to it.
Not as much voguing on this one.
No, not too much. Yeah.
There could be a little, but
Yeah,
it had to be
potentially.
quite slow and intentional.
Yeah. It was a bit ballady.
Yeah.
I mean, within the realms of this album.
Yeah. Less groove, definitely more ballad, definitely more like contemplation, more sitting with emotions.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, like I think it's quite plain to see. Like this is an ode to Porter Robinson's relationship with his mother.
Mrs. Robinson, potentially.
Mrs. Robinson.
Maybe.
Or Mrs. Maiden Name
Yeah.
that I don't know of. I think like in the context of what we've listened to so far and the messages we've gotten from the past tracks, I think this is just solidifying his mother as the kind of rock in his life where he'll have a lot of like creative, like manic tendencies, like high highs, low lows, but throughout it all, he's reflecting on the place that he'll always have in his family home. Though there's an empty room you outgrew, I'm here for you kind of thing, which it's very easy to like forget about that stuff and take it for granted when you're like soaring on the wings of creative success, right?
Yes. Walking on water.
Walking on water.
I feel like it wasn't just Porter singing like an ode to his mother, there was something about the two vocals that felt like they were, I know that they were perfectly in sync with each other. I know that they were singing in unison, but for some reason it felt like they were singing to each other, like it was a duet, not a vocal double vibe to it, which kind of felt like, you know, he was singing to his mother, but all his mother was also singing it back to him as well. Like they were singing it to each other. Like you're trying to harvest your field, but you've got a dull scythe. Is that what scythe means? Am I thinking of that correctly? Like
it's the Reaper's scythe.
Yeah.
So I will warn you, Dull Scythe is one of the more polarizing tracks on this album.
Ooh.
You'll see, just go into it with like,
okay,
not everyone like gets on with this track. This is me when I'm scrolling through my effects on my my digital audio workstation. Just like,
get a new phone and you're trying to set the new ringtone. Now my Windows machine, it's not saving.
Mom, there's smoke coming out of the computer.
But all jokes aside, it's giving me, it's three-dimensional. I feel like the sound is revolving around me.
There's depth to it.
Spatial, yeah.
I feel like I'm being assaulted from multiple angles. This is what it's like when you're in Space Invaders, but you're one of the enemies and you're just getting like shot at. He's found the synth pad and he's got that going.
Oh, I thought the button just became unstuck and now he could play a note.
Yeah. This is like when you load into the underwater zone in a game. So now you know what it's like to have a dull scythe in the field when you're going through your crops or whatever they do.
Ironically, I felt that it was actually very pointed and intentional, contrary to the title. I see why it's divisive. And I think if you're looking for like a song to like, you know, groove along to or whatever, this isn't the song for that.
But if you're looking to test some new speakers, you throw this on and see what it does with every frequency.
Well, no, because maybe you're not sure, is it a loose cable? Is something cutting out? I really like this song because it felt very experiential, and all jokes aside, it really did have this great sense of space to it. And I felt like I was being immersed in a soundscape, which is really cool. I also was quite impressed in the first half when it was still very choppy, that he was still giving us dynamics.
Yeah.
And he was still somehow making the music swell. And it would like bloom and then it would pull back and then it would move in like these flourishes, even though it was choppy. And I thought that was really, really cool.
Yeah. And then we did get at one point halfway through, 2/3 of the way through, the emergence of like a digital synth pad that then carried through and then took us to the kind of last quarter of the song that was more kind of following a drum beat that kind of felt more traditional in terms of the way you'd put a song together. It felt very underwater video game level for me, I think, that last bit. I think this is a good opportunity for a short interlude as we'll
be back after these important messages from all our sponsors. Hi, we're back from the important messages from all our sponsors.
This show is sponsored by Dull Scythe. See how sweet this time is. sweet time, don't you think?
It was very sweet.
I think we've got another change of pace in terms of like lyrical subjects, like we did in Mother.
Yeah, I thought maybe he was continuing his reflection on like his career, and the last couple of tracks have felt like he was just having a ball of fun. Ever since Musician, fun, fun, fun. Let's make music. It's beautiful. I love it kind of vibes. But towards the second half of the song, I then started to think like maybe he's talking to his fans. Maybe he's saying, because you were saying that he wrote this album during COVID. So the world's in lockdown. There's definitely no touring happening and so forth. And it's talking about, I don't know, I felt like we're reminiscing on these beautiful moments from the past that it felt like multiple people were sharing together, not just Porter experiencing and enjoying by himself. I think it was definitely, I got the sense of like touring, because it's like the world is, you're fortunate to call the world your home. And if he's been traveling and touring, and if he has fans in so many different places, he would find that sense of belonging regardless of what country or geography that he was going to. But then there was this like, at first I was like, oh, we're getting a bit religious. This is like reincarnation.
This is actually dedicated to Christ. I had some more context dissecting this one because I'd done my first pass through the album after I'd already heard Smile, and then I'd already kind of tuned into a couple live streams and some interviews and all of that. So I got to know a little bit more about Porter. I think at this point, he was with his then girlfriend, now wife, for less time than now, but still a significant amount of time. And the same way that we got an appreciation and like a thankful message for Porter's mother in the song Mother, I think this one is more about his relationship with his girlfriend.
Oops.
Which, you know, it speaks...
The other Mrs. Robinson.
Exactly.
Yeah, sorry.
It speaks to the fact that you would get a similar experience listening to this as you did in Porter's affection for his fans, because they both maybe mean the world to him. One of the lyrics that you mentioned, so the thing about the world, the lyric is actually, the world is lucky to be your home. So we're not lucky to be in the world is lucky to have you, which I think is a clever little spin. Because Porter's been, by this point, around the world. I think his wife isn't from America as well. So I think they met abroad too. Like there's a bit of a globe-trotting message there. But as we go through this album, not only do you get struggles with identity, struggles with career, passion, self-worth, motivation, I think we're also getting explorations into those things that bring you out of that and bring you out of the muck and bring you out of the doubt. And one of those things, I think for Porter, very significantly, is his significant other. Let's do Mirror, track 10, another standout for me on this album. You notice the little stars for things I've saved. You won't, audience, because I'm not giving you that level of insight into my private life.
Sometimes the inner voice is encouraging, calling for you to run and keep going, it will all be okay.
Just based on the title, before we played the track, I thought it could go one of two ways, right? Mirror and everything that Porter's been exploring, especially in the earlier tracks of this album, when he was reflecting on like himself and career and where he was going. I'm like, either it's going to be something that will be very like jarring and difficult, like poor self-image, or maybe it's going to be something that is at minimum frank to at most uplifting or affirming. And it ended up being the latter in the end, I think,
Especially in the end, yeah.
Yeah. Where I think he definitely like is frank and like calls out, the insecurities and the negative self-talk that he was experiencing. But I guess after going through a lot of the last couple of tracks, that journey we've gone on, where he's reminded us slash himself about why he loves what he does, despite all the negative things. He's explored sources of strength and safety that he experiences in his life with Mother, with Sweet Time. He's had a whole bundle of fun in just doing experimental, crazy things with music, which he told us he loves making. And so maybe after going through all of that, he still remembers those negative things that he tells himself sometimes with the voice inside your head, but is now in a position to then have a countering voice to then help keep him grounded and help, sort of respond to that.
Yeah, it's very much the exploration into the self-critic, the inner critic, your harshest critic or whatever that line is. And we get a lot of the kind of harsh confrontation you really front-loaded in the track. You carry your enemies, but they're so familiar because a lot of the time they do originate from within you. It's not the voice of all the others. You've only said it to yourself. So sometimes we think that everyone thinks this thing about me, when in fact, like, we're the only real, we're the location where it originated. We're the source of that critique, and we haven't really heard it from anyone else, but we've projected it out to everyone else. I think we come back around, like you said, at the latter part of the track, and we acknowledge that, we are our own harshest critics, but also we can be our own sources of momentum and our own encouraging forces. One of the last lines from the kind of, I don't know if it was a robot text-to-speech narrator or something, was, sometimes the inner voice is encouraging, calling for you to run those final few yards. So I like that we're exploring a topic, and we've done this a few times within this album, and even in Smile, we're exploring a topic. It has negative aspects, it has positive aspects, but all in all, we're exploring it because it's something that we experience. Let's do Something Comforting, track 11, another one that I've got earmarked. This is also one of the major singles from the album as well. There's your perfectly played guitar once again.
The title was a trap. Musically, it was very soothing. But
Some would say comforting.
Some would say comforting. But the lyrics felt quite pained, in my opinion. I think we're revisiting what we had early in the album about feeling a struggle with dealing with the fame and everything that's associated with the great success. How it's a double-edged sword. Like it's the height of height. It can be amazing, but that also makes it very difficult. Maybe it's giving a fulfillment that is not satisfying to Porter, but because it's such a high, he keeps craving more of it, but it's not a healthy, like, dynamic.
Yeah. Well, the higher you climb, the further you fall, right? When you do come down.
2 lines of the chorus just really stuck with me a lot, because getting made you want more.
Because getting made you want more. Yeah.
I kind of, yeah, I think I got caught on that, because it's like, because getting made is like getting, I end up making it.
The way I hear it is because receiving made you want more.
Right. And if you missed that, then you'll be like, oh, something comforting, something comforting, something
Oh my
comforting.
God, something comforting. Wow. Porter.
It's amazing how important context is.
And then there's like the end of the chorus and the title, someone tell me something comforting. There's just like a going through this struggle and then just hoping for someone to come in and provide you a level of comfort that helps you get through it. Pleading for help. I also, one of the things I really like about this track, and it was one of the first things that I noticed when I did my first listen through, is obviously throughout the album, we're getting higher pitched Porter, we're getting normal pitch Porter, you know, doing stretches of songs, coming in and out, mostly higher, some lower. In the final lead out chorus, where we drop back to the piano and we've just got the vocals, we get the cut in and the cut out of higher pitch, lower pitch, and you get that audible like muffle sound as the like mic switches between the two, and that for me gives me like a joining of two, where like the facade's dropping, and we're no longer pretending we know, but we're not pretending that these are two different characters. We're getting the mask off. It's all me, because it shows like an honesty within yourself, a frankness, a maybe even a converging of two different perspectives. So we're getting to the final stretch here. We've only got a couple left. Let's do track 12, Blossom.
I close my eye while wishing for life. I pictured you there living, and you'll never suffer. Just trust that I love you. So you say to me, God cannot take us. They just want you laughing. Last good wished each other well.
Yeah, ballady once again.
Well, if Mother was a ballad, this is a ballad.
This is a super ballad.
This is a super ballad. It's a ballady ballad.
I think this one, you could look at it a few different ways, but for me, I think this is about his partner again. More so than like a meta commentary on relationship with the self or with the fans or whatever. I think this is giving us a couple of like little anecdotes and little scenarios where Porter's getting lost in himself and he's getting stuck in his head and all of the thoughts we've had throughout the album. But much like his mother is a constant rock, I think her name's Rika, is a grounding force and is his counterpart in like navigating the world and his fame and his career. And I think this is a very like honest, touching, and very like personal track. Like I don't get that this was written for the fans or to like stick in an album or whatever. I think this is very genuine.
You said like in this album is the first time that Porter was using more of his vocals that hadn't been like pitch shifted or something like that.
Or even just replaced by machine vocals.
Right. And then in this song, there's a particular line in the first somewhere, second verse, first half. Still correct. So he's got this like filter or compression on his vocals, and then there is the pitch shifted higher vocal on top. Sometimes it's just his vocals. Sometimes they're together. Sometimes it gets a little bit blendy, and his voice then sort of blends out and it's more just the high pitched voice. But there's a particular line, the second last line in the second verse, "It's just that I love you," where the high pitched voice very noticeably cuts out. It's not smooth and blended out. And then on top of that, whatever filter that he had on his vocals was either dialed back, if not removed. And that is the most raw that would have heard his vocals the entire album. And I guess that's very befitting because it was being very stripped back, very vulnerable to deliver that line to the person that he is, to the single person that he is singing to.
A little bit of insider baseball for you, insider Porter Robinson. So his previous album to this was called Worlds.
Yes.
The last song of Worlds was Goodbye to a World. So the meta theme of Worlds, one of the meta themes was talking about like what happens when you're like a character, an NPC, non-playable character within an online world, and everyone's left and no one's there, and then one player logs in, and then it's like you're our final hope. And Goodbye to a World was like the send-off for the album, was this world is over, but there are more to come. The goodbye in this one is interesting because there's a direct reference to a goodbye, but this is not the last track of the album. I think it's an interesting change from Worlds, and I think it probably signifies some kind of difference in approach for constructing this album and not ending necessarily on a goodbye. Here's your tidbit of the day. We've checked that off. And now we're permitted to move on.
I only get one tidbit a day.
Only one tidbit. I'm sorry. There's only so many I can give out. Second to last track of the album.
Feature. Only feature.
Yeah, well, only like explicit feature. There's been credits here and there, but no proper features. The name of this artist is Totally Enormous Extinct Dinosaurs, abbreviated as...
Is that a band?
TEED. I think so.
Why do I know this name?
I don't know it, so...
Okay, play the track.
I will play the
and
track.
I'll
It's called...
try and figure out why... Yeah.
We'll see. Maybe you've got more info on this one.
Maybe.
This is the song Unfold. So you had an immediate reaction or recognition.
I didn't recognize because it says TEED. And it seems that he's a British electronic music producer.
Okay.
And it seems like he's changed his name into the abbreviation.
Okay.
I don't remember how I came across. I don't know if it's meant to be said TEED or said as an acronym TEED. TEED. Probably TEED. It's kind of like house. It's a bit UK garage. It's very rhythmic. It's very like funky is not the right word, but it's got groove.
Yeah.
The style of music that he puts together. And it's really cool that he's a collab on this.
It's interesting that, the one track where we get the feature from the other EDM electronic artist is like the biggest electro, like banger, grand, like stadium track.
Well, it kind of makes sense, right? You put two electronic nerds in a room together. What do you get? You get the track. You know?
You get a lot of...
That's probably what happened. I wouldn't be surprised, you know.
Yeah, I think Porter is a bit of like a serial collaborator, where he'll work with people very, very often. One thing that he shares with Phoebe Bridgers. Both are very, very likely to do that.
but they have not shared it together.
They
as far
haven't.
as
That
we
would
know.
be an interesting.
It would be.
I'm curious, actually.
Yeah. I can
Surely-
see it happening.
They probably
I can-
met at some point at a thing. Yeah, like this one, I get like a different vibe than the rest of the album, but not so much that it feels out of place. I get a very kind of triumphant, larger than myself vibe here. The weight of the world, literally. Watch the water unfold. Not the same as I was, like an evolution.
I'm very curious about this metaphor that we're getting here about water unfolding, because obviously water doesn't fold in any of its states. Can you have malleable ice? I don't think so. No. Yeah, so I'm very curious. It's too late in the night for physics.
Maybe this is the precursor to the Porter solves physics experimental EP. Well, that brings us to the final track. And this is something that a lot of us do on a day-to-day basis. And that is trying to feel alive.
That was my 4 coffees today.
These are the sounds your microwave makes when you're out, when it comes to life.
Do you feel better now? I thought on things changed. Climbed a mountain, are you satisfied? Yeah, I couldn't recognize. Maybe trying to feel alive. Then somebody somewhere finds the weeds a gift that I couldn't recognize.
We've had a few uplifting tracks, but this one
Unconditionally
felt very
uplifting, I think.
different. Well, the first thing that struck me was that piano opening, and it felt very contemporary musical theater, right? Like I felt like it was, I don't know, I'm blanking, and you'll fix this pause later. It made me feel like Dear Evan Hansen or something like that. And we're about to get like some beautiful like solo protagonist moment. Then all of the production kicked in, and I'm like,
Yeah.
cool, we're still in Porterland.
Porterland. Get in touch with the Disney people.
No, when Porter creates like it'll be like a digital visual element to an album, call it Porterland.
And we'll be there, Porter, to intro it to the live audience when you first premiere it and be your gateway to the world.
These vocals are giving me the strongest kind of like vocalist moment,
Yeah.
right? He was really singing it. And yeah, and it was just like, I can totally imagine this being like, yeah, it's sort of like the lead of some band.
Yeah. And I wonder if that's because he wasn't contending with the higher pitched counterpart for a lot of this.
No, it wasn't in this track at all.
It might not have been, yeah. And maybe that leads us through to Smile, where there's very little use of high-pitched Porter. Just, it touches on the things that we've struggled with throughout. And even in those struggles, there was an acknowledgement that there is a constructive element to them. There is a driving force to them. Here, where we've processed everything that we've pondered, and we've just kind of gotten a better understanding for ourselves and the things that we go through, Porter goes through, in his mind and his journey as an artist. And he's kind of settled on the point that it's the process of trying to feel alive. It's climbing the mountain and not feeling satisfied, but feeling driven to climb the next one that he really is fueled by. And maybe there was a sense of questioning, like, why don't I feel satisfied after I climb the mountain? There's something wrong with me. When no, that's just not how you work. That's just not how you're wired, and that's okay. And then at the end, in a similar manner to Smile, where we end on the positive message to the fans, and then somebody somewhere finds the warmth of summer in the songs you write. maybe it's a gift that I couldn't recognize. So it really just kind of ties the bow, brings us full circle on not only are we getting this immense level of satisfaction, no, not satisfaction, but drive, it's having a ripple effect once again out to our fan base and the people out there who are coping with the things that they need to cope with through Porter's music or feeling inspired or whatever they're doing.
So now that we have just heard Nurture by Porter Robinson, what's your takeaway from the journey we've gone on?
I feel like so many thoughts that I've had with being creative, with exploring music, with contending with having a piece of work that you're happy with, but then the next one doesn't feel like it lives up. Getting the commentary around, you can't do this your whole life. I just identify with so much of what Porter's talking about in this album. Obviously, I'm not a career musician, so I don't have that level of connection. But in Porter exploring candidly so much about himself and the way that he's felt through this kind of stretch of years, I find myself identifying with a parallel struggle.
Mm.
And there's just something so profound about that when it happens in an album. It doesn't happen with every album, doesn't happen with most albums. But every now and then there's one that comes in at the right time in the right place. And I think this was it for me. So much beauty in the instrumentation, but also so much experimentation. So many hooky melodies and choruses.
Something I've noticed across Blush and now Nurture,
Smile.
which
That's
is what
something you might
happens
do when
you
smile.
smile. That's what's going. Neural connection, which sounds like the title of another show.
That's our
Welcome
psychology.
to Neural Connections with Breandax.
That's our self-help show.
I hear that Porter continues to have a great career and has like a very large following. But there's something about the way that he writes and then expresses the songs that feels like he's not necessarily doing it because of others. Do you know what I mean? Like it feels like it is as much as it is for himself as it is for anyone else who happens to listen and maybe they resonate with things that he's also singing about. And that's also great.
Yeah.
But for himself is a big part of that. And then throughout this album, just almost like a reflection to himself, like, no, this is why I really love what I do. I remember now about being being a musician.
I'm a music, yes.
Being a musician, being a writer, the people in his life who give him a lot of that strength, who can ground him or cut through when, he's going through a difficult time. We've had moments where all the experimentation and all of that experimentation in the middle of the album just very much felt like because I want to.
This then takes us through to Smile, which is very much about the external. I wonder if the exploration of the external is again a reflection of Porter's doing this for himself, right? And if the fans love it, that's awesome. But then also, full circle, the fans loving it brings Porter a level of satisfaction that then feedback loops him back to the beginning, and then we get the cycle again.
Yeah.
Well, this has been Nurture. Thanks for joining us. As always, your appreciation and your patronage is much appreciated. There would have been a better way to go about that if I had thought it through, but I didn't. So don't subscribe because I just made that fumble. But do subscribe because you enjoy our commentary on Porter Robinson.
But if you do like seeing him fumble, you can also subscribe, but then say that in the comments, and then we'll just turn this into you fumbling.
Yeah, you know what, actually, if you watched this far through and you got through the ramblings leading up to the outro, leave a comment. I don't know what you want to say in the comments, but leave a comment and leave one that will know by seeing it that you saw this last bit.
And we're self-funded, so there's no prize if you leave a
There's no
comment
prize. We won't.
We'll read it and we'll reply.
Yeah, we'll probably reply to that one.
I've replied to all of them.
You do.
I do.
You do. I might reply. I reply to some of them. Anyway, that's it. See ya.